Welcome to volume number 3, full body workout. Today's workout is all about building upon what we've learned in our first videos, and we're going to be adding in some compound movements today. Now, if you have any issues with our movements today, make sure you go back to our library to give you step-by-step instructions on how to do our exercises. So let's get started. We're going to start off with our warm-up, go into our workout, and as always, end with our cool down. Our first warm-up we have is our side-to-side lunge. This movement is basically going to warm up the muscles of the hips, the thighs, and also the glutes or our butt. What we want to do a side-to-side lunge is spread our feet to a straddle position. From there, we're shifting our weight to each side of our body. We're going to start off with doing very simple movements side to side. And as we go throughout our warm-up, we're going to get lower. So as we do this, bring our hands to our hips. We want to roll our shoulders back, brace our core, and sit back to our heels. We want to make sure that we're feeling the pressure in our hip. And then we're going to shift to the opposite side. So let's do this for about 15 to 20 seconds. You're welcome to bring your hands out in front of you. And rest. So going from our lunge shifters to our next movement is a squat. Now, as you notice throughout this workout, we will have breaks. So again, if you do feel tired or winded, feel free to pause the video and join us. So with our squats, we want to make sure our feet are hip distance. From there, we want to roll our shoulders back, push our chest forward, brace our core, and sit our hips back. So this is how you do a squat. Bring your hands out in front of you. Bring your hips down. We want our hips to be about parallel, or I should say our thighs, parallel to the floor, pushing back up, squeezing our legs. Again, shoulders back, chest up, and arch your lower back. 10 reps. And rest. Our next movement, you can keep your feet pretty much where they are. You want to be in a straddle position, so do bring them out about an inch or two further out away from your body. What I want you to do is come to the floor, keeping your legs as straight as you can. Bring your fingertips to the floor. Bring your hand up towards the ceiling, rotating at your lower back, and then switch sides. This is a great stretch for your lower back and also your hamstrings. And rest. So as you know, every warm-up we do our warm-up for 2 rounds, right? So let's go back to the top. We're going to start back with our first movement, which is our lateral lunges, shifting our hips to each side of our body. We're looking for 10 reps. From there, we're going to go to our next movement. So remember, we do have our toe touches coming up next, make sure I'm on track. As you guys know, that's why I keep a paper in front of me. So now our toe touches by our squats. So our feet are again is at hip distance, and we're looking for 10 reps, and go. And rest. So now the games begin. What you need for this workout, one is a bottle of water. Do grab a mat for the floor. And of course, bring your music. As you guys know, I want you to understand the importance of you vibing out with the energy that you want to produce in the workout. So if you want classical jazz, hip hop, country, whatever, pop, gospel, put it on. And let's get ready to work. All right. So our first circuit is 3 exercises, and we're going to break each movement down one by one so you feel confident as you go into the workout. So our first movement we have on our list is a squat to a standing side raise. To perform a squat to a standing side raise, you want to grab your weights and bring your feet about hip distance. As we go down to our squat, we want to have our weights on the outside of our legs. Push our hips back as if we're sitting into an imaginary chair. Arch our lower back and roll back our shoulders. Chest is out. As always, tummy is braced. As we go down into our squat, we're going to bring our hands up and back down. Make sure you hold your squat and your movement for a split second and then come back to standing position. So this is how you do a squat with a forward raise. We're looking for 15 repetitions. Let's get it. Now keep doing this exercise. As you know, I kind of give you your play-by-play, almost like a football game. So as you're on the field right now, I'm your coach on the sideline. When you do this exercise, make sure that you're getting your hips as low as possible. If you are taller, you might notice that you want your squats with your feet wider. If you're shorter, you might want your feet closer when performing your squats. Your pro tip for this movement with a squat to forward raise is making sure that you go low into your squat to the point where you're comfortable and challenging your body, and you're bringing your arms just to shoulder level in a V formation. We're looking for 6 more reps. And rest. So catch your breath and let's get ready to go into our next exercise. Our next movement on our list is a lunge with a shoulder press. So this is how you do a forward lunge with a shoulder press. First, have your weights in your hand. I highly suggest lightweight for this one, maybe a set of 5s or a set of 8s. With your feet close together, we're going to take a big step out with our left leg, going down into a lunge, bringing our weights to our shoulders, pressing up. So as you come down, you want to press up. And sometimes you get off balance like I just did, and that's okay. But when you do your movement, as you're taking a big step forward, you want to make sure that you're bending at your front knee. So bend at the knee, bend at the hips, lower the hips down to the point where that back knee is about 1 inch or 2 above the floor. Your tips with this movement is to tuck your hips under, make sure you brace your abs, and keep your chest up tall. Don't allow the weights to pull your body and your shoulders down. So we're looking for 15 reps of this movement. And go. And rest and breathe. So at this point, your heart rate should be up, but don't quit on me now. We got our next exercise. So our next movement is touchdowns. This is similar to a football position. So how to do a touchdown? A touchdown is all about getting your heart rate up and building endurance in your lower body and also strength. So this is how you perform a touchdown. You want to have your feet hip distance, and you're coming to the floor, reaching your hand down, touch down to the floor. But you want to make sure when you do a touchdown to bend at your hips and your knees and not use your back. So our feet are wide. We're pushing our hips back, shoulders up, and we're bringing our palms to the floor. You can drop your opposite hand behind you. Chest is up. Reach the floor if you can. If you cannot reach the floor, aim for it. Bring our feet together. Come to the opposite side. And then together. And then to the opposite side. Okay? So we're just going to alternate our leg movements for about 20 to 30 seconds with this cardio exercise. And that is how you do a touchdown. Now let's go into this movement for 30 seconds nonstop. Starting in 3, 2, and 1. So we have a 15 more seconds. So keep going with this exercise, and here is your pro tip. Make sure you keep your chest up and avoid slouching. So if you feel your back right now, you're probably rounding your shoulders. So posture up. We have about 10 more seconds. Get as low as you can for these final 10 seconds, bringing those hips closer to the floor. and rest. So at this point, you're going to take a 30-second cool down break. You can join me for a stretch, and we're going to go back into our second circuit of this full body workout. So now we're getting ready to go into our second round of our first circuit. So our first movement we have is our squat to side raise with our upper body. So again, to perform your squat to side raise, you're going to bring your hands by your side, go down into your squat by pushing your hips back, rounding your chest, and pushing your chest out, rounding your shoulders back. If you have this movement, go ahead and start now as I give you your pro tips. Again, your pro tips with this movement is to make sure you get your hips as low as you possibly can and keep a neutral spine. At no time should you feel your back in this exercise. We're looking for 15 reps. Keep this exercise going. So here's another pro tip for this movement. Do not have excessive momentum when doing your squat to forward raise. You should notice that when you bring your hands up to chest level, you want to control your arms back by your side and not do excessive swinging when you do a squat to forward raise. So this is your pro tip. We're looking for 8 more repetitions. And rest. Now again, if you need a break, feel free to take a second, pause the video, and come back and join us. If you can keep pushing through, we're gonna go into our second exercise of this circuit. So our second movement is our lunge with a forward arm raise. We're gonna be doing, a shoulder press. So we have a lunge into a shoulder press. So this is how you do a lunge to a shoulder press. We're gonna have our weights by our side. Go ahead and bring your weights up to your shoulders. With our left leg, we're going to take a big step forward, balancing on our tippy toes on our back foot and flat foot on the front leg. From there, we're going to go down into a lunge. Focus on squeezing your booty muscles. Keep your core and your shoulders rolled back, core braced. At this point, we're squeezing our elbows in, going down into that lunge. As we push up, we're going to switch and go into our next leg. Okay? So we're going to aim for, again, about 30 seconds, which is about 15 reps altogether. Since we're doing forward lunges, remember we're stepping forward with this movement. And go. So we have about 6 more reps. You're going to keep this exercise going. Here's your pro tip when doing a lunge with a overhead press. Make sure you are squeezing your ears. So what I mean by that is making sure that you are getting your arms as close as you can to your ears. Your second pro tip for doing a lunge to overhead press, make sure you do not hit that knee on the floor. So you need to control your body weight forward into that lunge. And that is how you do a lunge to overhead press. So let's aim for 3 more reps. 2 and 1. All right, so we just dominated our first 2 exercises. We got 1 more to go. Our next one is going to pick up our heart rate, and we have one of my favorites, our touchdowns. One thing I love about this movement is that it just builds your cardio and your stamina. So this is how you do a touchdown. When performing a touchdown, you want to start with your feet together. From there, you're going to bring your right leg out to the side. Your feet should be in the stance of a general squat, keeping your chest up and your core brace. You're going to move at your hips and knee, coming to the floor, aiming your hands to the floor for a touchdown. So you're touching your hand down to the floor. Bring your feet together and go out the opposite way. We're looking for 30 seconds. If you are already familiar with this exercise, go ahead and start. We have 15 reps all together. Here's your pro tip for a touchdown. Your pro tip for this movement is don't lose your form. As you're going through this exercise, it is a lot when it comes to your endurance. So don't find yourself getting sloppy with using your back to reach to the floor. Instead, use the movements through your hips and your knees. Your second pro tip for a touchdown is use control. You don't want to feel like you're bouncing everywhere. You want to control your movements so you can actually get results from this exercise and also prevent any type of injury. So we're looking for 6 more repetitions. And rest. So good job on completing your first circuit. 30-second recovery break. Let's get ready to go into our second circuit in 30 seconds. All right, so our water break is over. Now we're going to push ourselves into our second round. And what do we have coming up? We have a squat, a static squat to a chest press. Both movements are static. So with static movements, and this is your information or your tips on static movements. When it comes to a static exercise, you're going to notice we're going to hold that movement like frozen for a certain amount of time. Today, we're going to do this for 30 seconds. Static exercises are great for a finisher of a workout or great to put into a workout to actually help you build endurance. So you'll notice like the difference in the burn that you get with these exercises, and it's only going to help you get results. So let's get into it. With this exercise, with a static squat to also a static chest press, we're going to start with our feet hip distance. So go ahead and get your body in the form of a basic squat. Once our feet are placed, we're going to push our hips back with our shoulders rolled back in a slight arch at our lower back. So monitor my posture with this one. We have our weight or dumbbell in our hand. As we push the weight away from our body, we're going to bring our body into a squat and hold this for 30 seconds. Your time starts now. Your tips for this movement is to make sure you stay in that squat. Second tip is to make sure you have a slight bend at your elbow. So you don't have to lock your arms out like a cheerleader. You can slightly bend to take stress off your elbow itself. Another pro tip when it comes to a static squat with a chest press, you want to make sure that you're not swaying or bouncing. Sometimes we do that when we get tired, but I want you to make sure you hold this movement nice and rigid. We're looking for 15 more seconds. We have 8 more seconds. I want to encourage you and coach you to get a little bit lower for 8 seconds. So reach as low as you can for 5. Good job. So rest, catch your breath. That's a good way to kind of really bust into this first circuit, right? That's a challenging exercise. Now let's go into our second movement. Our second exercise is a forward lunge. Now we're going to do what I like to call pendulum lunges. Even hard to get out. Pendulum lunges. With this exercise, we're going to step forward and step back. Just like a pendulum and how it swings, it's just consistently going the same direction forward and back, right? Or going to opposite directions forward and back, non-stop. We're going to be doing that with our movement today. So to do a pendulum lunge, we're going to first start with our feet together. Your weights are by your side. We're taking a big step forward, putting the body weight, transferring to our front leg, bending our back leg. Shoulders are back, chest is up, and we're tucking our hips under. We call this a posterior tilt. Push back and take that leg straight back. So I lost my balance on that one. So let's clean that one up. We're going to go forward and back. We're going to keep this going for 15 reps all together. Now keep this exercise going with your forward and reverse lunges. Here's your coaching tip and your pro tip when it comes to a forward and reverse lunge. If you struggle with lunges and you struggle with your balance and coordination, what I want you to do is touch down as you come back to center, like this. You balance check here, and then you go right back to the reverse and balance check every time you come up tall in your exercise. Your second pro tip for a pendulum lunge is to make sure that you keep your shoulders up. I know I keep saying this a lot, but don't find yourself rounding like this, reaching your weights to the floor by using your back. We're looking for 4 more reps for 4. And 1. Catch your breath. We're going to go and switch legs. And keep this exercise going. Again, when you do your forward and reverse lunges or your pendulum lunges, another tip to help you with this one, if you struggle with balance, feel free to grab a chair. You don't have to do everything, advanced if you feel like it is advanced or if it's too challenging. I do want you to challenge yourself, but feel free to add things to help you. So you can use the wall right now to hold on to, or a sturdy chair that does not roll. We're looking for 6 more repetitions. And rest. So that one is a compound movement, not really a compound movement, but that one is an advanced movement, I should say, because you're moving with your lunges and you have to master your forward and your reverse lunge. So it is more of a challenge, but that's why we're here. So let's go into our next exercise. Our next exercise on our list is our body weight, or our body weight squats, which we are actually doing this with our body weight. I do want you to add weights in this movement if you can. We will perform a bicep curl as well. So this is how you do a bodyweight squat with a bicep curl. Your first step is foot placement. I want you to place your feet hip distance. Bring your hands in front of you with your palms facing away from your body. Your goal is to go into a deep squat using your inner portion of your thighs as a lever. So you have your elbows pressing firmly against your inner thigh. You're going to curl, extend your arms, and come back tall. We're looking for 15 reps. Our time starts now. So keep this exercise going, and here's your pro tip for a squat with a bicep curl. With this movement, you might find yourself struggling to do a low squat. And if you can do a low squat, I applaud you, that's great. But if you're struggling with a low squat, I want you to give me a mild squat. So I'm gonna face you. You're gonna bend your knees softly. You don't have to go all the way down. As you bend, you're gonna curl and push, curl and push, until we build up the strength and mobility to go lower. All right, so let's keep this movement going. We have 6 more reps. And rest. So catch your breath and let's get ready to go back to the top. Now you do have 30 seconds of a cool down as we get ready to go to the top of this circuit once again. So get you some water and I'll see you in 30. All right, so let's get ready to go into our second, or our second round, of our second circuit. We have our static squat to chest press, and go. Continue to hold that squat, and here is your coaching and your pro tips for a static squat with your arms extended forward. You want to make sure you get those hips again as low as you can, all right? So I know I sound very redundant sometimes, so I want to make sure you remember these cues so you can get the best results. So see if you can get lower in this squat. We have about 15 more seconds. And bring your arms back to chest level if you feel like your arms are getting a little tired right now. So bring them back to chest, and let's finish out for 10 more seconds. And rest. Our next exercise we have again is our forward lunges. With this one, remember we're actually stepping forward and back. All right, so as we step forward, we're actually going into a shoulder press. So we do have our pendulum lunges coming up after this. For this one, we're going to step forward and shoot our arms or our hands towards the ceiling. And we're looking for 15 reps, and go. And keep this exercise going. So when you're doing this movement, again, make sure you don't lose your energy for this exercise. Make sure that knee is not hitting the floor, but instead it's aiming towards the floor. And don't forget that back leg. Is your back leg bent as you step forward with that front leg, okay? Make sure you're bending at the knee. We need about 15, or I should say 5 more reps, not 15 reps, for 5, 4, 3, and rest. Don't drop those dumbbells. We're going to go right into our pendulum lunges. We're looking for about 15 steps on each leg. Switching legs. And rest and breathe. So from there, we're going to get ready to go into our last movement, which is our warm-up. You made it. So our last part of our workout is our our cool down, not our warm-up. So let's go into our cool down, all right? With our cool down, it's all about bringing our body temperature down. So we're going to spread our feet to a straddle position. And from there, focus on bringing your chest towards the floor, keeping your legs as straight as you can. We're going to hold this for 10 seconds. Coming up tall, hands on your hips. You're going to bend at your lower back for 10 seconds. And rest. So this is your full body workout, volume number 3. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget your check-ins are throughout the month, the 1st and the 15th of each month. By now you should have what your check-in day is with me. So make sure you're following up with check-ins. If you have any questions or concerns, make sure you email me at jess@fitslay.com, and I'll see you on the next workout. Bye.